Hello, this is Andrew. In this screencast, I want to take a few minutes to show you some of the templates, some of the dynamic lists, field type definitions, etc., that have been created in these tools, these productivity tools, available to SharePoint developers who are using CodeRush and Refactor inside of Visual Studio. What I've done is downloaded a sample project that you can get from the same article where you download the rest of the tools. The tools have already been installed. And then I'm also using this keys tool window here. It's a DevExpress thing, and it's going to be like you're going to be able to see the different things that I'm typing on the screen on the keyboard as I type them. So I can type in "hello world," and you can see what I'm typing really easily. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the templates real quick here. If you fire up DevExpress options, switch to the templates. Templates are underneath the editor, and then templates. And let's collapse all these and kind of just give you a quick overview of all the different templates that you'll see here. So what you see here, this is a list of all the different templates. You can see here we've got a whole section on features. That'll be covered in another screencast. A whole section here on the solutions. That's handled on another screencast as well. And then also just a handful of just miscellaneous templates. We'll look at these four in the screencast here. So the four that we have: assembly full name, field type definition, a GUID, a new GUID, and web part XML. So let's take a look and see what each one of these guys is going to do. The first one, the most common one that's used, because it's used in actually a lot of additional ones, or a lot of existing templates here, is new GUID. New GUID is going to give you the ability within a XML file to simply type, instead of having to go from, say, tools and create new GUID and then paste it in and then have to clean it up by removing the squigglies or the dashes. This is going to give you the ability to simply come in and say new GUID and then hit space, and you get a brand new GUID right away. It's very easy to do. So now when we're working with features, I can just type in new GUID, space, and I got a new GUID. Much, much easier than what we had before. Okay? That's one. Another one we have is the four-part assembly name, or the assembly full name. If I had a feature receiver that I was working with, instead of going in and typing in the assembly name, and then the version, and then the culture, and then the public key token, that's all kind of a pain to go through and get that stuff. Okay. One easy way is to use Refactor. Another easy way is to simply come in and say assembly full name, space, and it will stub out the entire one for you. It's very, very handy. Another one that we have is the web part template. Let's go in, pull this out. Creating web part definitions is a tedious thing to do, especially because we don't have any IntelliSense within the WSS schema, XML schema file. So what I've got here is I have a class. It's already created, or a type that implements the web part class. Well, if I go in, let's say I want to create a new web part definition file. I can then come in, and instead of going through and having to type out the entire thing, I can now type in web part XML, and it stubs out the entire web part definition for me, including it walked through the project, found the first type within the project that implements system.web.ui.webcontrols.webparts.webpart, and it also went through and got the four-part name of the assembly, the strong name of the assembly. It also went in and put in a default name for us right off the bat. Okay, that makes your life a heck of a lot easier than what it was before trying to build web part definition files. Now, some of these things, you're seeing some of these templates that I'm giving you here, some of them should be fairly intuitive. So like we've already talked about new GUID, we've already talked about assembly full name, and we've already talked about web part, creating the web part XML file. Okay, another one that we have here, this is where some of the mnemonics kind of kick in. We also have one called the field type definition. Now, what you'll see here is that we have another type in here that is a new custom field type that's been created that's inheriting from the SP field multi-column base field type. What I can do, field type definitions are yet again another very tedious thing to write. So now we have a template called the field type definition that when I hit space, it's going to stub the whole thing out. Now, a couple things I want to show you here. First of all, it calls this guy the test field, the test field type. Test field type is the name of the class. It pulled that for you automatically. It also went through and grabbed the parent field type. Okay. Now it didn't go through and actually pull the exact parent field type. Hopefully that'll come in a future version or a future release of the templates. We've got this. Let's see. So we jump between these two. The display name has been set up too, to where once I start typing something for the display name, it'll put the short description in the display name. It'll keep those linked until I do something like a space, I think. Something like that. Then it's also got some of the additional Boolean properties here. But the neat thing about these is that where there's somewhat hard to remember, you have this nice little description here that when you get the focus on one of them, you'll actually see this little description of what's going on. In addition, it's also come in and grabbed the five part name, which is the full type name of the custom field type, as well as the strong name. And then finally, it's already stubbed out like your default rendering pattern. All right, and it's dropped the CodeRush marker so that I can just hit escape and it jumped me straight to this marker to where I can start implementing my rendering pattern. Okay. Now another thing I want to show is some of the custom types here, or the dynamic types. So let me go in and let's create a new class to clear out all these regions here, make things a little bit easier to see. Okay. So now what I want to do here is let's go in and let's create something. Whenever we want to go in and we want to create, say, a new type, CodeRush has got these templates that we can use to go through and dynamically create new types. So for example, let's pop up the CodeRush tool window here. Makes this a little bit easier to see. So what this will do is that it's going to give us context sensitive stuff. So right now this is where we can normally put in some private fields. So what I'll do here is to do a new private field, I would just use the template of F. And now what it's going to do is show me a list of all of the different things, all the different templates that are available to me at this time. Well, a couple of them have been added here. I added for SharePoint developers a list of them right in this area right here for different items here. So we have one for web, one for sites, one for lists and list items, fields, and content types. So how do these work? Well, it shows you what the different mnemonic is. So you can think of them just saying, I want to create a new field of an SP site. Okay? The neat thing about this is that when it goes to add in this new SP site object, it will be smart enough to know that a namespace reference has not been added to the using statements or the import statements. All the stuff you're seeing is in C#, but it'll work the same way in VB, with VB code, obviously. So now I have this mnemonic here that I've created, or this template that's field SPS, to where I can drop in, and it will automatically add in, as you can see at the top here, the using statement, and it created the new type. It also, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but I could have said field SPS, and if I wanted to create an array of these guys, it would have done that for me too. All right. I can also do this, use these same types if I'm using methods. So let's say if I had a new method, SPS, same thing. Okay. You can see here that what we have them for, we have these templates for a couple different ones. So we have for webs, sites, list items, list, fields, and content types. Okay. Make your life a little bit easier. So those are the different types. So those are the different types or dynamic types that are included in this. Showed the field type definition template, and then also a couple additional templates to creating new GUIDs, assembly, full names, the web part, and like I said, the field type definitions. So in a future screencast, you'll see all of the templates that have been created for the feature schema, as well as the solution schema, and then finally there's some additional stuff for like refactorings that have been added as well. So I encourage you to go through and download them, give them and try them out, and let me know what you think.